Hey everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Alejandro. And with me today, we have a wonderful guest, Ambert Rodriguez.
Nice to see you guys. Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's a Monday. A lot of stuff planned for the week, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. We're going to have a great day. We'll be working on a fitness activity app today with Ambert. But before we get into that, we do want to go over a little bit of the schedule for today and tomorrow. So if you could hop into that, we had a great schedule today. We had a great amount of programs. I hope everyone can check those out tomorrow when they come on, and then stay tuned for later today because we have a bunch of other things that we're always excited about. So stay tuned for those things. And later today as well, we're going to be doing artist spotlights. So we're going to be taking time to take and check out a single person out of Behance. So we'll be really excited to check and see that stuff. So why don't we go back and learn a little bit more about Ambert and what brings him on today and what he'll be kind of taking us through. And awesome. One more thing real quick before we go there, I just want to say hi to everyone on the chat. I do remember some people are on YouTube and they're watching us there. And if you want to, talk to us, ask us questions, ask Ambert questions, hop on over to Behance. You can interact with us there. And Ambert, you go on, take it away. Let us know a little more about you.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, thanks and happy to be here. Ambert Rodriguez, I've been designing maybe since a year after I graduated high school. I don't want to date myself, but that's 1998. So I started in print design. I got into a lot of early kind of web design when that started really taking off and becoming a big thing. I went to web design school where actually we probably knew more than the teacher herself. She just kind of read through the books and all we had to do was really just, kind of figure stuff out ourselves. So that was interesting. I've worked for different advertising agencies, worked for, different nonprofits. I've had my own agency for quite some time since 2012. Last year, my agency was acquired by Wheelhouse, and that's how I am a partner at Wheelhouse.io. We're kind of a different kind of agency. We're kind of this kind of hybrid agency where we're focusing on like developing businesses creatively and financially, right? And the key focus on there is not just kind of creating products for businesses, but helping develop businesses, right? We want to kind of take up the business in its entirety, from whether it's through financial analysis and operational guidance to creative and digital product design. We have a whole ventures kind of side of our company as well. So it's pretty exciting. It's a different kind of agency, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
That sounds amazing. That sounds. So is that based out of? Well, where is that based out of?
Yeah, we're based out of South Florida. We have the Miami area. We also have offices in New York and Connecticut as well.
Oh, cool. So you're in South Florida, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in South Florida, just outside of Miami, in a city called Weston. But our office, obviously, before all this was in kind of the Miami area. So,
okay.
Before COVID happened, and we're all kind of now working remotely, but still making it happen. So excited about that.
I'm glad. I mean, we're all trying to make it happen. And what's always really interesting is how we get a lot of people from a lot of different places around the world. So we could pick people from Florida, we get people from New York even. Last time we got someone from Ghana. It's really
Oh
cool.
wow.
So yeah, I love hearing what everyone else is from in the chat. Let us know. Give a shout out where you're coming in from. We're always excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of where people are coming from, kind of, different cultures kind of uh, helps with diversity and gives you different perspectives. So I'm curious to kind of see that for sure, and kind of ask questions and maybe kind of guide this app design for that specifically. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, this would be great. I always love getting feedback from a lot of different areas. So Simone is coming in from the Netherlands.
Oh wow,
Yeah, hi Simone.
that's awesome.
All right.
Awesome. So we'll just kind of jump into the to kind of this brief or kind of outline that we're going to be doing. This was created in XD, so using it as a keynote. There's a lot of different ways you can use XD. So number one, we're kind of go over this brief. I want to go over the goals and objectives and use cases of the app itself. Go over the landscape. Competition, who's in a similar vertical, not necessarily competition, but what's in that vertical of kind of outdoors, kind of activity, active lifestyle. Create a brand. I also created a look and feel, a logo for this app as well. We're going to deep dive into kind of some features and requirements that we want the app to have. We'll go through those pretty fast because I know we really want to get into using XD to wireframe and design. So right after that, I'm going to jump into some quick wireframes of, just to see what hierarchy there we need, to see what we're going to want on certain pages, pages of the app. And then we'll go into kind of creating the design of the app itself. So number one, obviously, yeah. If there's any questions on the chat, yeah, feel free to put them out there, and we'll try to answer them as fast as we can. So the goals and objectives of this app is to create an app for kind of activity for exercise, to record your activities. Kind of want a social component to it too, right? Where people can comment or kind of look at the activity that you kind of created. So if you went out for a bike ride or for a run, it would track that, and people can comment on it. I like this idea of also having more photos, or maybe adding video to the activity itself, maybe stories, or I'm thinking about calling them stories instead of calling them stories, calling them highlights, because I feel like that works better with kind of the active brand.
Yeah.
We kind of want it to be an app that works for beginners to pros, right? We don't want it to be way too techy and also way too kind of simple, right? You kind of want that in between. Maybe have like pre-recorded training classes on them. So similar to like a Peloton or something like that, where you have these recorded classes. Maybe if you're on your stationary bike at home, or you put it on your trainer, you can kind of take these classes. If the weather's bad outside, or if you woke up too late for the group ride or whatever, you can still kind of get your training in. And the ability to also have kind of live classes from pros, right? So you can this app can partner with pros. And these pros can have like live streams, and they can have that kind of premium content. I think is interesting. And then we'll kind of look at this landscape, right? So competition and people who might be in similar verticals, from Nike to Under Armour, Map My Ride, Map My Run. Strava is a pretty popular one. Peloton app, kind of like how I mentioned before, the Adidas Run. And these other ones aren't necessarily like apps that kind of track, your activities. These are just apps that I feel like represent kind of a look and feel, maybe an aesthetic that I'm trying to go with. So Rafa, Garmin, Wahoo, Oakley, On Running, and Specialized. They're all kind of brands that I feel can that we can look at this for kind of inspiration. and just taking kind of quick screenshots of what these apps might look like, right? So you have like um, Adidas Run, you know, you have your Under Armour Run. They all kind of have obviously kind of map tracking, right? To track kind of your activity. So you can go back and see your analytics and see how well you did and all of that. I like Peloton's like pre-recorded or live streaming, you know, training classes. I think that's interesting. Strava, obviously, you know, is a big player in this field. And then I put Instagram on here also because I like, again, a lot of the social components that you could have, maybe how that can be integrated in an activity app. Because obviously, just a little bit of background, I do a lot of kind of cycling, but a lot of people post a lot of their photos and a lot of their videos on Instagram. But I always thought it'd be a great place to just kind of keep them, you know, in the activity app itself. So you don't, you know, have to be kind of switching between them. And some people, you know, prefer to not be on a lot of these social platforms for whatever reason, you know, and it'd be kind of interesting to kind of keep them on a, you know, on an activity tracking app. And then you have like Nike Run and all of that. So this is kind of just looking at the landscape, looking at kind of, so you can kind of do a little bit of research to see what's out there, what it works. And obviously this is a fictitious kind of app, right? So we're not really, you know, you would normally kind of, you know, get feedback from users, get feedback from, you know, from your target market and all of that. But right here, I think right now the target market is myself. So I'm kind of building an app that I feel like would work, that I would like to use. So
this is more blue skies project for you. This is like,
yeah,
sky's
sure.
the limit. Just go for it.
Sure, why not? I mean, I can design an app. I can, you know, I am the target market, right? So, so I'm excited about that. So, so I even came up with a name for it, right? I wanted it to be something that was catchy, but also kind of, I hate to say the word hip, but something that just felt like, you know, that was, you know, something that can be easy to kind of remember. So I like this word bustle. You know, it means to move or act with a great show of energy. And I think it works perfectly, you know, for the name of this app. Kind of rhymes with hustle, so it feels good. So we'll go with that.
Bustle. Oh, hey.
I got into even creating some kind of sketches, just creating some icon designs for it. Just kind of taking out the, you know, the B, knocking out the two little parts in it for the stroke. I played around with kind of even some sketches back here of maybe a lowercase b. It looks almost like a foot that's running, or like a pedal of, you know, a foot that's kind of pedaling. But I liked it in capital, so I kind of kept that in capital. And then this is kind of just where I ended, right? I felt strong. I mean, if you just look at the shape of this B, is the exact shape right here. And I just knocked out this two little parts and then just gave it a stroke. Kind of real simple, but I think it works for, you know, for an app itself. Kind of created two colorways. You know, I'd like to see maybe if chat would like to, I don't know if there's like a voting or anything like that, but would you
People
know,
just chime in. They'll be like, hey, like A or B.
Yeah, A or B. So we got this like softish kind of, I would call it like it's not a bright red, or it's not like a dark red, but and this kind of, you know, bright blue too. So, I mean, just kind of going straight back to kind of the landscape. Blue and red are in here, but you get more of kind of like blacks and you know, and things, and oranges, right? So I think, you know, a red or even like this kind of blue would stand out if we're thinking about kind of the marketing aspect of this. So I like the blue, unless, you know, people in the chat feel otherwise. I think we'll kind of move forward with the blue.
I think Timothy's saying red, first option. Mike Miller, who's also from South Florida, is saying
Nice.
red because it's more active. And I kind of agree with that. I think that's a smart reasoning. Cool. Red looks more like energy to me from from Dana.
Nice. So we'll go with red. Why not?
All right.
All right. And then I quickly just, I like to kind of, while I'm building kind of brands and designs, build like what an ad would look like or something like that. Get up, get out, and get something. If you know where that's from, extra points on chat. Old school kind of hip hop aficionado. So if you know where that's from,
shout it out.
Extra points, yes. So I just designed like a cool little ad that can go on like a magazine or something like that. So just kind of seeing this brand, in its entirety, I think kind of helps set the tone to kind of create the look and feel for the app, as we kind of move forward. So, app icons and stuff like that are what this could look like. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it with the app, brand look and feel. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to shout them out. But then I really wanted to just deep dive into kind of some of these features that I felt like, we can add to the app itself. So I did a quick kind of mind map. This is cool because XD has these plugins. I forget the name of the specific one. This plugin is under Whiteboard. And so you can just kind of create a mind map and then just kind of drag and drop some of these around and play right in XD. So that's cool. So if you haven't checked out the Whiteboard plugin, feel free to check it out on XD. So some of these features, I kind of like to break them down into kind of product features, tech considerations, business requirements, and maybe just some user pain points, right? That I think could be that we would have to try to solve towards. These are a lot of features that I'd like to kind of have in the app. Obviously, we can't really get into designing every single one of these features in a 2-day kind of two-hour live stream. But we'll take, a few of them and kind of, get into that design. So virtual training, I think would be interesting. Obviously having search, being able to kind of record your activities, whether it's like using the app itself to kind of click start, right? And then go for a run and be able to track you via GPS. And kind of see how fast you're moving, how many miles you've done and all that. Social components for the app, maybe training programs. How can we kind of involve music in there? Like be able to kind of use the app to, as you're running, as you're, maybe indoor training or anything like that, you can use, Apple Music or Spotify right through the app to kind of listen to music. I thought having event registration inside the app would be interesting, right?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So instead of like having, like if you're gonna do like the Boston Marathon or something like this, what if if the event registration was built into the app, right? So you can just kind of go to events that you're interested in, kind of bookmark them, and you could sign up for this event right through the app, and you can use this app to go run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why have 3 different apps for that, right? So that'd be interesting. Obviously kind of routes, looking at achievements and then being able to, find and follow friends that you kind of want to, see their training and see their activities.
So just to reiterate, this is in Whiteboard plugin found in Adobe XD, because someone was asking, I just wanted to reiterate that. And then someone else is also asking, are those pain points derived from user research? So theoretically, since you are the target user, would these be derived from your user research being yourself?
Yeah, being myself, yes. So just kind of using different apps and stuff like that. These would be kind of pain points that I've seen kind of using other apps, and just things that I would want to take into consideration, right? Kind of it being one app to kind of rule them all in a way, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Without being so complicated, but maybe just kind of how do we take all of these kind of features and make them easy to kind of navigate, to also use, right? And so, things like using while exercising. So if you're running and you're using your phone, right, as the app to track you, how easy is it to press stop and start, right, on the app itself? So things like that. You know, you don't want to make it too easy because you don't want to press stop on accident, right? You want to kind of, maybe there's a long press or something like that. You know what I mean? So things like that to really think through. And then obviously the business requirements of this, how do you monetize the app, right? How do you make money? Obviously you can kind of be that, you can kind of go from that freemium kind of model, or you can already have a subscription model where, some content is for people that are subscribed. Maybe there's premium content, maybe there's subscription only stuff. And stuff like that. Maybe there's branded content opportunities for brands, right? To be, to kind of partner with you and stuff like that. So obviously, these are just kind of thoughts that are put out there. We might not be able to get into all of that when we're designing it, but these are things to kind of take into consideration as we're kind of designing the app itself.
Is this a normal process, like building this mind map whenever you're going about designing a new possible feature or product?
Yeah, 100%. It's part of the process of just kind of, we kind of do this as a team, right? Different people kind of adding different, product features that they would think. Obviously, with the client, if we were building this app for ourselves as a company that we're kind of creating, we would do it internally. But if we're doing this with a client, this is an interactive part with the client that we're kind of working through with them. And then also kind of getting their feedback, making sure that we're all aligned on the product itself going forward.
Cool. And I see you have tech considerations there too, which I think is really, really interesting. Have you put those in there?
Yeah. So just considering like just different things that, that on the tech side that we would have to kind of consider, like dimming of the app itself. Like if you're running outside, in the morning, like super bright before the sun comes out, it's kind of easier to read it, to see it in dark mode, right? As opposed to kind of light mode. So the app being able to kind of change, does the screen itself can we dim the screen, auto dim the screen, things like that. Obviously, we'd have to work with GPS to kind of track the user and stuff like that, so we can map the user and all, things like that. So these are just kind of quick. Obviously, I focused a lot more on the product features than everything else. These are just super quick, kind of throwing out some ideas in these kind of buckets before we kind of get into the design of the app.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing everything here, though, because these are things you always have to consider and balance.
Yeah.
It's a very delicate balance between all of them, but seeing them all mapped out here makes it really a lot more apparent.
Yeah, and you could take this, print it out, put it up on your wall, add more, deep dive in, do more brackets. Like if you wanted to go deeper into kind of what event registration would be, right? So you'd want to maybe focus on that one, put that one here in the middle, and then add more kind of information on that. There's to me, this helps visually kind of seeing all of this, and then obviously working with the team and stuff like that, being able to kind of make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, well, it is definitely an app to rule them all for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. So, we can, go right into kind of wireframing, if that's all right. I mean, if there's no kind of any questions or anything like that, we can jump right into that.
I think we could jump right in. This would be really, really cool to see how we develop this out.
Awesome. So let me just create a new kind of.
So when you're cycling, what kind of music do you listen to? What gets you pumped up to get out there?
To get up, get out, and get something.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Usually it's. I try not to. So like when you're cycling, obviously, like in areas where there's a lot of traffic and stuff like that, try not to have like over ears or in ear like music. So kind of have this product. I forget the name of it, but it's like a vibrating thing, but you could still hear what's happening going around.
Hmm.
So, but I personally like to listen to hip hop, old school hip hop, or anything like that when I'm with a group, right? So it's just kind of there in the background. But if I'm doing solo rides or anything like that, I'm listening to podcasts.
Okay.
So I've been listening to the new Wireframe series that just came out, the Adobe XD podcast. I listened to a couple of different other ones, Robin Hood Snacks and stuff like that. Stuff that I can kind of listen to, but I'm still focused on kind of as training or writing or anything like that.
Yeah, makes sense. And I would love to actually hear what the chat listens to, or if they have recommendations for that podcast or music, either one. However, AJ is asking how much coding is required for designers.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think understanding, right, the process, or understanding kind of or being sympathetic, or understanding the technology, understanding how coders think, and things of that nature, I think is good to know and good to kind of study. If you want to learn how to develop, go for it. I think there's a lot of online courses and stuff like that you can do. But I think the most important thing is taking into consideration your designs and your the way you're designing, whether it's through print, through different grids, through different things like that, so that you can make also the engineers or the developers' life as easy as possible, while still also being able to create something that you feel really works. I think bringing them on board, right, as you're designing, as you're kind of creating these mind maps, as you're bringing them on board way during that process, helps, right, as opposed to kind of after you're done designing the app and then kind of pushing it along to them. For me at least, makes the process a little bit more cumbersome, as opposed to bringing them on board a lot earlier and getting their kind of feedback, getting in their kind of questions and pain points and stuff like that is very helpful.
Yeah, people are also chiming in, like knowing what the limits are and what the feasibility is, and even down to timing too. Like what trying to implement this one particular feature, like how long would it feasibly take, and is it really necessary at this moment, and what things you can balance between getting out the door and so like timing as well.
Yeah, and I think you get that from like those kind of initial meetings, right? So like if you get the dev team in on the discovery meeting with the client, or as you're doing it internally way ahead before, you can get those kind of questions answered. Hey, we like this idea of this feature, this is how we're thinking about doing it, and then just getting their feedback on that, I think makes it for a lot smoother process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think everybody who starts working in a company starts noticing it's always best to bring those engineers right from the start.
100%.
And that way no one does not know what's the plan going forward and the project scope and things like that.
For sure.
So where do you get your, one last question from AJ, another question from AJ is, how do you become more creative? Where do you get your inspiration from, I suppose?
That's a good question. Everybody kind of has their own thing, right? You get people that just say, yeah, go out, just read books and do things like that. I always feel like I get I forget who said this. Creativity has to kind of find you working, right? I forget where I read that, but I think it was Todd Henry. We can search it, but
I mean, I'm pretty sure that our chat is smart enough. They're good internet sleuths, will be able to find it somewhere.
So basically, this whole idea of like, you just can't be just waiting for an idea to come to you. You got to be moving. You got to be trying, right? So you got to be trying to fiddle with something, reading. Again, creativity has to find you, and the only way it'll find you is while you're working, right? While you're busy, bustling.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You find things along the way. You just keep working at it.
100%. So I kind of like to, as I like to design these, apps, I kind of go on a vertical here, right? So this would be like the feed, right? And then I'll start designing. These are kind of the categories. So this would be feed, one.
So you're very organized with your artboards.
I try to be here, or else if not, you can get lost. And then I'll go like horizontal here, right? So onboarding 2. So, and then again, as I start designing this, again, we're just gonna quick wireframe so that we can really kind of get into the designs themselves.
So apparently Picasso said inspiration exists, but it has to find you working.
There you go.
Sam Peterson found it. There it goes.
Nice. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Good job, Sam.
All right, so onboarding. So this idea of like having because it's an activity app, I like there to be a lot of video in it, right? To show movement. You can show movement in many different ways, visually through, hierarchy of text and stuff like that can kind of give you the feeling of movement. But because we're working on an app and not like a print, product or a printed collateral or anything like that, having video and stuff like that in there would be really nice. So I think on the onboarding screens, being able to have video kind of working in the background there, out of maybe having, obviously our logo at the top. I'm just going to really kind of quickly, I'm not going to be kind of working on like any grids right now, any kind of 8-point grid system or like that. When I get into design, I will, but this is more of just like a quick, prototype. Maybe an idea of just like having kind of,
just have like a visible idea and view of what's gonna kind of look like. And someone's asking, this is purely concept, no ability to turn it into a working app. That's by Gary Phelps.
Yeah. Oh, this app itself? I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens after we design it. Let's see if
he's going to be running to the IP office after this.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of see where we get, and like this idea of just having like a quick, tagline. Maybe be that same tagline that we had on the the ad we created.
And so when you just start implementing like an 8-point grid, or working on grids, that's kind of when you start thinking about the responsive resizing of the app itself? Is that your process normally occurs? Because someone here is asking about how do you go about responsive resizing?
Yeah, obviously it's kind of an app, so we'll take things into consideration of like designing towards a max or like different kind of screen sizes, but the idea is that everything will, no matter if it's a smaller phone or a larger phone, things won't have to stack or anything like that. You'll still be able to kind of see the content, in its entirety. But when it comes to the like the 8-point grid system, that's more of so that things can be consistent, not just for the design itself, but for the engineers and developers, so that they can quickly see the grid and be able to kind of, create their, develop it a lot easier and smoother.
Right.
So probably gonna have this kind of toggle here, or these like indicators of just showing, you know, uh, slider on, you'd be able to slide through on this onboarding screens. Just maybe two links, two buttons on the bottom. Maybe one is like get started, or one is, and then one is a login if you already have like a login account, right? Crazy here. Again, I'm not going to really go into like creating, rounded corners or anything like that just yet. I'm just really quickly creating, just what I'm thinking can work. And then obviously, the cool thing I like about XD too is that all the shortcuts are the exact same.
Yes.
Throughout. So like on a Mac, Command Shift open bracket, the close and open bracket, brings it right to the top. So I had that one square was like at the bottom here, and so I wanted to bring it to the top, so it's right at the top. And I like being able to kind of have that continuity between the apps and stuff like that. Also, actually not on the onboarding screen. We're not going to have that the menu at the bottom.
And why is that? Well, why is it that you decided not to put a menu there?
Yeah, because I think what we want here is we want people to either log in, right? Because if you don't have an account, why do you need to see a feed button, right? Why do you need to see a search button if you can't do that unless you're actually logged in, right? So let's just bring it down to like the actual feed itself. And then obviously here I have there would be 3 screens or 4 screens, whatever we're thinking, as we kind of swipe, each one would have like a different maybe call to action, right? So one maybe would be like record your live activity. The other one might be like a
share it.
Share your live activity. Exactly.
It's another thing is, as designers, you have to be a little bit of a copywriter here and there.
Yeah, just to kind of get your point across. So yeah, we can maybe just kind of, if we want to put like record, we can put share. And let's just kind of quickly go to the, here. And then maybe we can do like, maybe like a train, right? Training videos or something like that. So I think some cool kind of features that, that we talked about in the mind map. And again, these would obviously change depending upon, the
whichever
at. So you get the point. I don't have to go in detail there, but get the point.
I don't think anyone's going to fault you for not going too granular.
Yeah, this is just like wireframes, just so that we can, any idea that we have, we can just kind of put it out there and, put it on the wireframes and quickly kind of say, yeah, maybe that'll work, maybe that won't work. We're not really worried about, getting into like a high def wireframe. I think some projects you need that. I don't think you need that in every single product, especially if, if kind of, I'm kind of the use case, so I'm kind of knowing where I want to go with it in a way. But obviously, if you're working with a client, before you really get deep into designs, you kind of want to get that approval kind of way ahead during the process, so that you're not kind of backpedaling or backtracking, or so you make sure that you're all on the same page.
Yes. So you would be showing off these kind of things to your clients, trying to show them like, this is the plan for us, this is what we're thinking, and
then
100%. Get those stamped.
Get their approval, kind of get obviously also, explain kind of what we're doing too, so that, when they see this, they're not thinking this is the final design, right? I've had that before where they really couldn't really understand. They were like, okay, so we're done with the app kind of thing, because I made the wireframes way too high def, right? I put color into them a little bit, and they were just like, they couldn't really understand why we just couldn't start developing it. But so you take those, those learning lessons into your process and making sure you're communicating effectively with your client.
Yeah, I feel like we've all been there before. Too high def, and suddenly, all right, I started coding it. I'm like, whoa, wait, hold on. Let's take a step back. We got stuff we got to figure out.
Yeah. I think this would be kind of interesting here. So when I say feed, obviously the whole idea of this is tracking, your activity. So you want to be able to kind of, and a social aspect of this. So you want to be able to see the people that you're following's activities, right? Similar to like an Instagram feed or like a Facebook feed or any of these social platforms. Strava does this too. I don't know if any of the other kind of apps do it, Nike or anything like that, because I don't have really any accounts with them. I've just like seen their kind of, their screenshots on the App Store.
I know Nike, because I do use theirs. They do have like a feed, but it's mostly for like classes.
Got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so something similar to this, we'll even use XD's kind of this really cool kind of repeat grids and stuff like that on, in the wireframe. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So
repeat grids is a lot. It's such a time saver.
That's one of my favorite things, man. Even the states also, these new features like like the horizontal scroll, the vertical scroll, the stacks, and all of this. I love it.
Yeah, it keeps everything in one program, which is just what I love.
Yeah, it's the best.
When you recreate the entire thing in an outside program, it pains me in having to redo it all.
But then also you also like just the exporting, and it just becomes a hassle. Again, I'm not really trying to figure out if this is the exact size I want to create. This would be the user's profile pic or avatar or whatever you want to call it. I think having like a kind of having some of the metrics on kind of this on the feed,
trying to give a competitive edge to it.
Yeah, some other apps have these as well, and we'll just put like just gonna put a number here. So if you did like 46 miles in one day, distance for running and also cycling, this again also the use case here is runners, cyclists, swimming, triathletes, anything that's like an activity you'd be able to do on here. So
I'm guessing this is not a runner who's just done 46 miles in the day.
This would be like well, maybe, I guess, if you
all right,
really
so
want to do that.
Steve Rogers decided to sign up for this app.
Obviously kind of elevation and maybe like how long it took you to do this 46 miles, and this elevation. So like, I don't know, it's usually it's just kind of 2 hours, and like I like to put like random, so obviously you want this in there. I don't want you kind of want like to show what, kind of.
Always ask the chat if there are any cyclists out there. What kind of stats they would want to see as a quick glance on
Yeah,
here.
that'd be great to hear.
So let us know, chat, what you guys want to see as either a runner or a cyclist or triathlon enthusiast. Your choice of sport.
I think having, the like, maybe comment and share kind of icons here, right? So again, kind of keeping that feel of what we're used to, but for activity tracking, I think it's kind of interesting. Maybe having like, the person's name.
And this is to make it a lot easier for people coming in, not knowing what the app is, and easily get informed, like seeing and knowing how to interact with this based off.
Right, because it's just something that you're used to. Kind of keeping what the user is used to. You're trying to take out that, that user kind of pain point of like trying to figure out a new app, right? You can just get into this and know exactly what to do right away.
Oh, someone's talking about integration to Google Maps.
Yeah, 100%. So you'd be able to kind of track the run or anything like that. I think having that map shown here, I think.
So that was from Laura Stevens, and a way to share the route with friends. That way, that gives a cool competitive aspect to it.
Yeah, 100%. And they'd be able, just the idea of being able to kind of check out the route and maybe even saving the route in a way too. So maybe you can like almost like a GPS turn by turn if you wanted to do like run with it or ride that same route and maybe be competitive and see if you can beat the time or whatever. I think that's interesting.
Lady Boss is asking for a kilometer per hour average or speed.
Oh yes. Like an average speed, right? Of kind of
I think it's
the
like
entire
average
accumulated ride. Yeah, I think I'd be interested kind of if you'd like to see that from the get-go, or if you'd like to see it because the whole idea obviously here is be able to kind of click on one of these activities and then you go into like the analytics of it, right? You'd be able to see kind of the speed, you'd be able to see kind of your average pace and all of that. So I'm wondering if that user who just asked that question would like to see that before being able to click in, or just seeing it right there.
Yeah, let us know, Lady Boss, what your thoughts are on that. We're getting a lot of great suggestions. K-Cow burnt points from Cornell. I wonder how that would work, if that's like an integration with some kind of fitness device. Maybe app where you went to achievement progress bar, which is very gamifying it, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. So this would be like a normal kind of post, right? Or activity that that I would be following from somebody. So I'm just gonna quickly take this. I'm gonna just group it, just to have them group, but I'm gonna create a repeat grid. And it's basically, I'm just basically now kind of creating our feed, right? Of kind of, I'm gonna also send this to the back. Again, this is a quick kind of wireframe. But let me just group this. I'm gonna make that float. I'm gonna make the bottom navigation here flow. I just so like if I am kind of quickly kind of just wanting to quickly prototype this or just see what it looks like. I know we could do that through scroll groups, but I'm just gonna do this here real quick, just so we can see. So I'm just gonna hit play here on this prototype. So this is kind of mimicking what you're seeing on your screen, right? So you're able to kind of scroll through, a feed of different people that you're following and their activities, seeing their maps of the activities that they've, posted, or recorded. This right here it's kind of interesting. It has some social aspects to it, but I want to go get a little bit more social with it, right? And when I say social, I mean you can follow, you can share, you can like, you can comment on some of these activities. But what if there was like a kind of a stories, like what you would see on Instagram, or even like YouTube. The YouTube app has it now.
Oh yeah, they do.
Where there's stories and stuff like that. The Behance app has it now. So just this kind of quick highlights of an activity that you're recorded. So we can either kind of, yeah.
So Simona is asking what you clicked to keep it stickied.
Yeah. So this navigation down here.
Mm-hmm.
If you look right here, it says fixed position when scrolling. So if I took that off and I just press play, it would scroll with my design, right? So I'm just gonna go back here and turn it back on, and it just stayed at the bottom where I had it. So if I had it over here, obviously it would stay where it's at while I'm scrolling. Cool. So I want it kind of at the bottom of the viewport, so to kind of mimic, right, what you would have on an app, whether it's record, your search icons, kind of your navigation at the bottom of the app.
There you go.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, I hope that helps too. And someone's asking for funny messages at the end when you finish a lap, like Sylvester Stallone saying something from Rocky, which I would be very down for.
Nice. Yeah, I think you'd be able to kind of put that as your caption or as your post. You'd be able to edit it and stuff like that. Like this idea of having stories again, or what I would call highlights, right? Instead of stories. Yeah, let's just create a repeat grid here. So this would be kind of, your stories. I'm not going to get into the prototyping of this. I'll get into the prototyping of that, because we can do like a horizontal scroll and stuff like that, which is cool for, so like I'll just do that really quick. So like, like a horizontal scroll of some stories, right? So like, you'd be able to kind of prototype of what it would look like if you're going through some stories, or I want to call them highlights. So going through some highlights of, of people posting, if I'm going riding and I want to, show a cool picture of maybe my bike in the sunset or sunrise or whatever, I can quickly add it to, to Bustle as a story post, instead of, on any other social platform, and maybe just keep it here. I think it would be interesting, and kind of seeing how that builds community here and stuff like that. It would be interesting also to solve how that gets connected to an actual activity, right? So let's say this was my activity for this morning, right? This 46-mile bicycle ride. So if I tap on that activity and it opens and I can see my analytics, can I also even see maybe the highlights of that activity, right? As opposed to, not just only seeing them up here on the feed, but I actually click on here and I see the analytics of that activity, see some of the highlights of it, see the maps, see, comments and stuff like that. That'd be interesting to kind of see how we solve for that.
Yeah. So what would you think of putting the activity or the highlight before the data and the map, or after?
Yeah, I think maybe it's maybe we can try and play around with how that works. I think the best solution for that is maybe to quickly kind of wireframe that and see how we feel, what works for that. So I didn't have to make this artboard larger since I put it in a vertical scroll. But I did have to make my my repeat grid taller, as long as I wanted the amount to scroll in. But if I make this a kind of vertical scroll, then yeah. All right. So that's kind of the, how do we want, all right, so let's just quickly do this here. So we want to have I'm just thinking of kind of the navigation on the bottom of this. Maybe it's like, so here obviously is kind of our home or our feed, right? Whichever one we're kind of, the one that we're currently active on. And then maybe we have search. Maybe we have
classes. I remember you did say you want to add training classes.
Yeah. And then maybe we have our account here, right? Again, I'm not really like worried about like font size or anything like that. I do kind of want to keep that small. It's because it's bottom.
I do that the same way. Like, despite me saying, okay, these are just like very, very simple wireframes to have an understanding how it's going to work, I still find myself going, wait, it has to be 14. Hold on, no, this needs to be 16. What's that? It needs to be on whole numbers.
Right.
No matter what, I still do it.
I think you maybe need like a notifications or something like that. If somebody likes or comments, you might need that somewhere. We might play around if it's going to go up here, or maybe it needs to go down here or something like that. Well, as we're kind of playing around with this, we'll figure that part out. I mean, we're starting to see like an app that's coming together here, right? We're starting to see, just what we can do here. Maybe how this might be different from current apps that exist, even though there are some similarities, right? Because our app is going to be more kind of social focused with activity training. There might be some things that we might want to bring to, more upfront, right? So like notifications or things of that nature. So this would be feed. Yeah, so we can get into like what, and then what I usually do here is if like I wanted to have like a different option for a feed, I would just continue to create, more screens this way.
Never on the old one.
Not on the old one, no. It's yeah, just to kind of keep things, so we can have kind of a history of, it's non-destructive editing is the word you want to use for that, right? So that even when we're creating logos, I never, or like a look and feel or a logo for a brand, I never kind of take one of the options and then kind of recreate that. I just keep it there and there so that you can always go back to where you see where you kind of started from. That helps with maybe kind of, trying to kind of, if there was an idea maybe you forgot or missed, or maybe you just want to go back to the beginning. Non-destructive editing is the way to go.
100% agree.
So this would be, I'm just going to leave this here just to have another kind of option here. Maybe we look at this and maybe we make them circles just for the sake of it, like stories. Maybe there's another option here of maybe instead of circles.
Someone's suggesting that, Cornell's suggesting that we get Bitcoins every time we complete activity. And I would love this.
No, that's great. Yeah. maybe they're taller as opposed to, squares. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Instead of, and maybe they're a lot closer together, you know? Um, so just to help kind of visually see different ideas here, I think it'd be interesting to kind of, you know, put that on there. Maybe,
How are
and
you
while I'm doing
feeling
this,
between those three?
I
No
like the
chat, but yeah.
circles, but yeah, interested to see what the chat thinks. I like the idea of having maybe even this content. I'm just gonna quickly group this below maybe the map as opposed to, right under it. You know what I mean? Maybe we have the sharing right under this content so that, you can first see the name of the person, their activity, and then maybe the quick highlights, the data before or after. Just seeing what works. Seeing what just different ideas. And if you noticed here, because I created repeat grids, they all changed, right? So when I did it on the first one, they all changed after that. So I just changed the first one into a circle. They all changed into a circle. I moved the content from, the analytics to the bottom here. So as as I'm looking at this, and they're all on the bottom too. So it's cool to kind of create those and then, iterate so that you can kind of see what that looks like as you kind of go forward. The cool thing that I like about that is when these things didn't exist when I was designing websites and, stuff like this a long time ago, you'd have to go back, copy and paste, group, duplicate. It was a pain. Definitely very grateful for things like this too.
Oh yeah, you did that in just a few minutes too. Probably less than 2 minutes to just rearrange all of that and have 3 different versions of this.
Well, yeah, and it's cool. Yeah, so this is the feed. Maybe we'll get into just really quick. Maybe. And we're just quickly like prototyping some wireframes here. How are we on time? We're an hour in.
Yeah, we're an hour in, so we're about we're an hour in. We'll be doing a artist spotlight in about 27 minutes.
Okay.
So we're good. We're pretty good.
So in 20, I'd like to try and start getting into a little bit of design today. So I know we're just really kind of doing wireframing. So I'm gonna try and maybe at least just starting maybe just the onboarding pages, right?
Yeah.
After we do this, I think it'd be interesting maybe to do. I'll skip the search. I'll skip the recording for now tabs, and I'll go into training just to kind of quickly. We can quickly kind of go into what this. We'll keep notifications there. Let me just do this here because it makes it easier. All right. In my mind, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, so like training, this is where your kind of idea of the business side will end up.
Yeah, so having premium content, having live classes maybe could be on here, maybe articles, right, of nutrition, things that you'd want to find kind of in a activity app, all in one place, right? You don't have to necessarily use 3 or 4 different apps to kind of get that, right?
Yeah, I found myself going back to apps that are more like that, where they have all of those things in one place. I'm like, oh, great. I don't have to constantly go somewhere else and input the unfortunate hamburger I shouldn't have. I feel guilty for. So it makes it a lot easier knowing I could do something else to combat that in that same app.
Yeah. So training, let's, I'm just gonna quickly kind of look at just some of these kind of product features that we kind of wanna include in here in training. So maybe training programs, maybe virtual training could be in there. Um, you know, I don't know, event registration might be in there, maybe. But I'm just gonna quickly put in here, like, so in training itself, kind of when you're looking at this, again, it's kind of almost a catalog, right, of like content that you kind of want to find or maybe look for, and then maybe from there kind of drill down into that specific content, right? So maybe it's like there's almost like, you know, when you use Apple Music or Spotify, because you're using these products so much, it kind of knows you in a way. So based upon the you know, the kind of classes you're taking or the training or the activity that you're doing, maybe there's like a kind of
Recommended, featured.
you or recommended, yeah, some kind of section, and starts with that. I'm gonna have like this, thinking of like having this kind of horizontal kind of scroll with different tabs. So maybe like a for you or recommended section, or like maybe I think we can have like live classes here, right? So you click on this tab and maybe there's like a live, just like a live feed there. Like pro cyclists or whatever doing like live classes or something like that. I'm just gonna throw this on here, you know what I mean? Like this might not just be it, but maybe there's like a groups. What's a better word? Hold on, what's a better word for that? Collections?
Posse.
Maybe they're like grouped in like by category, so maybe like cycling and it's like running and stuff like that. Let's go with like a.
Well, you were talking about nutrition earlier.
Yes, so maybe we have like articles or
Tips and tricks.
Yeah, maybe that. Nutrition tips, I guess that's a, maybe that's I don't know, we'll see. But again, like, you know, nothing kind of crazy here. I think just having, you know, a line to kind of separate, and you kind of know that this is now a, you know, kind of a menu, a sub menu. I think again, I'm not gonna go crazy with color here, but just having also kind of one tabbed out, right, where maybe highlights whichever one you're on. So whatever, you can scroll through them, and then, you know, let's say you then, you know, tap on collections, and collections is highlighted, or I don't know. We'll figure that out as we're kind of really designing this, but
that's pretty established convention that I feel people are kind of understand and get used to.
Yeah. I think here we'll have a section title, maybe just like a some kind of photo with I don't know, some kind of you know, of these kind of collections or whatever we're kind of giving you in your for you section. These are like the tiles that you'd be clicking on or tapping on. I'm just going to kind of create another kind of repeat grid here. I'll bring them in closer. You can have like another section. Maybe this one is a taller one, right? That'd be interesting to kind of see. That. Good. Another thing that I love that XD has is the eyedropper tool that you can quickly select a color or something like that from you know, another item on the page.
Yeah. So Pete is asking, is there a way to change the style of an object or change an icon in a repeat grid without breaking the repeat grid?
Yeah, so if I wanted to make this one another color or something like that, I can. Um, like I wanted to make this one here, you know, um, yeah, you can actually, but figure out what's happening here.
I think there was a way to do that too.
It's because I didn't make the first one a component. But yeah, there is. You can actually edit. You can put different photos on each one or stuff like that.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna quickly just. So yeah, so this would be like the training section, right? Maybe live would look different. These are all kind of like tiles or whatever. So that'd be interesting to have there. Just quickly gonna get a quick overview of what this looks like. I have like 19 minutes left for our artist spotlight. I want to jump really quick into actually designing maybe the onboarding pages. So at least we can get put some color into this today.
Yeah. But you used that logo you made.
Yeah, why not? That'd be fun. So I don't know how curious to find out kind of how everybody else would do it in chat. Would you create another, use the same, design, the same, instead of saving it as a new one, or would you, for your wireframes, or would you just continue to kind of create them there? I almost like to start with a new, kind of a new one as opposed to using the same one. So
interesting. Okay.
I'm just curious what everybody else would do.
Yeah, let us know. I personally always end up just taking what I had already built, copying that over, getting really into the details, and then flesh it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way. Sometimes I just like to, I feel like I'm going to get bogged down and maybe trying to, I don't know. I just like to start from scratch again and, go from there. Let's just copy and paste this logo here.
So Zach has a good question, and his is a component question. When working with a main component, you only need to change the text on a default state, and it changes on all other states. Is it possible to do this on component instances? So if I'm reading that right,
yeah,
I think he's talking about a single component.
So can you just read that again?
Yeah. So component. So when working with a main component, you only need to change the text on the default state, and it changes on all other states, right? Is it possible to do this on component instances? I might have him elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, because when you have a component and you kind of create different states, whether it's a hover state, or maybe like if you have a filled in button versus a stroke button, you can edit the content in either one, in either state. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'll actually do that with the onboarding here. Where I'll have the two buttons, get started or log in. Maybe that helps answer that that question. So I just dropped in the logo. I copied and pasted it from the other artboard, but that was copied and pasted from Illustrator. And what's cool about that is that I can easily change the color of this. You know what I mean? There's it's not, it's still a vector. I can resize that as large as I want, as small as I want, and not lose any of the kind of the quality of it. So if we're looking at this onboarding here, I really just want to quickly create this. So I added a kind of rectangle on the back here. I downloaded a bunch of photos from Adobe stock that had to do with like activities and stuff like that. So I'm gonna quickly kind of go there and kind of look for some of these photos so we can add and again, I'm thinking like this in the background here, I think would be videos, not necessarily like photos, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I love about XD too. You can just drag and drop and it kind of automatically creates this mask, but you can now kind of reposition the image inside of that shape, right? So obviously, you know, I'd love for this to kind of be a video back there. It'd be really cool if we can also even, when we're creating the prototype of this, if there's a way to add video in the background, I think that'd be interesting at some point. So we can really show how this works.
So you're hoping that the video itself is kind of a demonstration of the app as it comes.
Yeah. Well, so you'll see this person kind of cycling, you'll see a person running, you'll see a person swimming. So right away, you know exactly kind of what this app is, right? So it helps visually, it helps understanding kind of what you can do with this app. I'm just dropping in the text here. I'm gonna be using.
Do you have a font that you go to? Like a go-to font?
Right now, it's Helvetica Now,
Okay.
which is kind of the remake of Helvetica and Helvetica New, and then like you have the newer version. It's called Helvetica Now. I just love the look of it.
I haven't had a chance to try it out, but I'll definitely will.
It works well on digital devices, and it also kind of works well on for print. So you can really kind of keep the consistency, kind of depending on whatever medium you're looking at the brand in. So it's a little hard to see. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of make this background here black. And then I'm just going to just bring the opacity down on the image itself. Maybe we'll do that in the video also. I like to kind of play around with some of the line height and stuff like that. We'll use this. I don't know if anybody was able to find out where this quote came from, but I
don't think anybody said. So what is it?
It's from an old Outkast song.
I don't think anybody caught it.
Use this. So we'll go with I kind of like going with multiples of 8. So we'll do like 8. Let's go with 40 pixels in height.
What's great too is you can actually just do addition, multiplication in there.
Yeah, so if I wanted to add it plus 8, obviously here it would be 48, and then you could just put plus 8 or whatever. So we have I'm just kind of making the buttons of what this would look like. I think having them as kind of rounded would be nice. Maybe like a get started.
Okay, call to action.
Yeah.
So Zach went ahead and elaborated. Very quickly, Pete is asking, is there a shortcut for selecting the eyedropper tool for border colors?
Yeah, it's I. Just press the letter I and you can, yeah.
Zach is saying, because you have a main button and then there's a hover state, and they both, for instance, say button text here, when you create a component instance, you have to change the button text on both the default and the hover state. But on the component main, you only need to change your text on the default state, and it changes on all other states. So I guess this question is, yeah, so I do believe you need to change it for both the hover and the non-hover state, because it could be different things. Hopefully
yeah, so I'm going to quickly kind of create like a component here with this button, right? Let's just pretend this is like so we'll do a component and we'll call this and then I'm going to create another state to it. That's going to just be a stroke version of it. So I'm just going to call it stroke. And then what I will do, actually, let me just duplicate this real quick. On the buttons, this one, we will actually do a kind of maybe kind of give it change it to white. So you can kind of toggle between the default state on like a button stroke, like the different states. So I'm going to have the get started and maybe 16. This one will use the button stroke, and then we'll do like login or something like that here, right?
And get started will be the onboarding process. That's
get started will be the onboarding process. Yeah, it'll take you to like a add in your email address, add in your first name, last name, and all of that. And then login will, if you already have an account, you just deep dive right into the into the feed, right? It's kind of going back to yeah. So we wanted to put like three screens or something like that, right? Let's kind of just quickly kind of create what we want that to look like.
Quick update, we got 7 more minutes before we're on to the artist spotlight.
Awesome. So let me just quickly try to create like these are at 55%. Just gonna kind of group these. I think they're way too far apart.
So Pete is reiterating on a shortcut for the border color rather than the fill color, and I don't remember if there's a shortcut for that, but there is a lot. There's a list of shortcuts on the Adobe XD site that you can find as well. Do you happen to know, Ambert?
The shortcut list
for the border color dropper. If you don't, I don't. It's definitely on. Yeah. Sorry,
I don't know that one.
I'm sure there should be a list for the Adobe XD shortcuts.
I know we have 6 minutes left. I'm just gonna quickly kind of add in a few different photos here. Let's see. Obviously, of different kind of sports that we want to represent here.
What kind of sports are you thinking? I know you said running was one of them.
Running, so we'll add in like a so running here.
That was quick.
Yeah. Again, I have like a bunch of photos that I downloaded from Adobe Stock. It's a great resource for finding photos. So we'll just kind of throw these in here. Obviously, these would be videos, right? So kind of the how large, the aspect of like how she's a lot closer to the screen than he is. It would vary, right? So they're not just going to be stills; they're going to be videos. So this video might pan out or something like that. So
we'll find out if he's running into the water or if he's running out of the water.
Exactly. And then we can quickly kind of prototype this, right? To see kind of how we kind of really quickly want to, what a user would feel as, when they open the app, and we can quickly kind of just play around with this. Make this one the home. I usually, actually, instead of tap, we're gonna do drag.
For Melinda is asking, is this program Adobe XD for apps or website creation? And it's mostly design for website, Melinda, or apps. There's no coding involved within this itself, but does help convey some of those positioning and things for engineers during handoff. So I hope that answered that question. And Jess is saying this is great. So she's excited for this.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can see here how it's quickly kind of prototyped to kind of show the, so I'm just going to press play on this prototype here, and then it would be like if I am kind of dragging or swiping kind of right, and you can see here how the button itself, how the toggle or indicator showing where you are, how that updates. I'm going to just make this one kind of go back to the beginning on swipe 2, so that you can kind of continue. It just kind of stays in that, it goes back to the beginning.
Just like it cycles around.
Yeah, so you don't feel like you just get stuck at the end. You're able to come back. And then, I think what we want to do is, we have 2 minutes left. I think what we want to do is maybe tomorrow, just go like we don't need to get into kind of the onboarding or signing up. We could just go right into, if I already have an account, right? And designing maybe what that feed looks like, what that training, page looks like, maybe what a live training would look like, maybe like a pre-recorded, content would look like once you go in, and we can just deep dive right into that because we already did all the work.
Yeah, and we have a ton of options.
Yeah, but I think this is already starting to feel like a real product here. Like, if I downloaded this app, I'd want to sign up.
I did too.
So it's cool. Yeah, I think, if there's any questions, I don't want to get into that other starting out everything else because that will stop at an awkward position. So.
Yeah. So one thing is, like, if Melinda is asking if you missed this particular session, where she could find it, and you can always find it here on Behance. You can find it in our replays. So you should be able to find those anywhere on there or on YouTube as well. But yeah, so we have about 40 seconds left before our artist spotlight. So in the artist spotlight, we're going to be highlighting a specific person, which is really exciting. So we are really excited to show off their work. We'll be working through and looking through their stuff with Ambert here. and we encourage you guys to subscribe to their Behance page. Where can our audience find you by the chance, Ambert?
Yeah, you can obviously go to company's website. That's wheelhouse.io. Also, you can see my Behance. It's on. I think it's on the link below. So Behance.net/Ambert Rodriguez or Ambert Gez. That's the last four letters of Rodriguez. So GUEZ. Or just go to ambertrodriguez.com and that'll take you there too.
Cool. So speaking of, let's go over to Behance and check out our featured artist. All right. And so our featured artist is Ruben Russell. He's from the Netherlands. I hope he's on the chat. I want to say thank you. We're really excited to check out your work. And I took a look, and he has quite a bit of branding instilled in his projects.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look at all of them, and then we'll kind of deep dive a little bit into some of their stuff. Color palette. And Vitamin. Oh, whoa.
That's cool.
This is really neat. I was about to ask, which one would you want to feature? Like, take a deeper dive on.
Let's take a look at the VidMe one.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. So what is this? This looks like a live streaming or like a Zoom-ish kind of thing.
So it looks like he's talking about video calling application. Yeah, so it looks a bit more like Zoom meets Skype.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool how he has all this kind of text conversation items here on the side.
Yeah, I like that. I also like the call agenda over there, so you can kind of keep on topic, right, as you're talking.
Yeah, especially these days, it's so easy to have that filled up.
Yeah.
Throughout the week.
And then sometimes you get off the call and you're like, oh man, I forgot to talk to them about this. You know what I mean? And I think it's cool to kind of have some kind of visual element there that kind of lets people know what they're going to talk about, why they're talking about it, make sure that they're all on the same page.
Yes. And like other calls here, I guess these are live streams, I suppose.
Here, you can track your calls and engage in fruitful video calls and navigate the application through the embedded UX. Okay.
So it looks like in the laptop.
Cool.
Neat. Oh, there's a little video. So I don't think audio will go through here, but let's just take a look. So it's really cool how he has these states, like it's just
hover effects and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's very easy to see what's going on. Like, okay, he's turned it off, and you see how it's very distinct between mute and unmute.
Right.
Oh, whoops. And color plan typography.
Yeah, so just like a design system here. He's kind of, a real small design system that he's kind of created. That's awesome.
Do you find it's very important, fairly important to have kind of like a design system set up prior to jumping into a project, or at least some kind of branding? I noticed you did that for this particular project.
Yeah. Branding for sure. I think as you start designing it, you start kind of creating your design system, right? So you start to see kind of, what's going to be an H1 or what's going to, how the buttons are going to look. You can't really just get right into that from the get-go and start like putting just buttons first as opposed to like the designs. You got to kind of see like what it looks like on a couple of different screens. And then you can be like, all right, here's the system that now we're going to start using for the rest of the app or application. But yeah.
So one thing I will say, I noticed here at the very least, I'm going to really zoom in, is the spacing on the text. It's a little tight. And just because it's a small
Sure, sure, sure.
Let's take a look at other things. Bean Shack. Are you a fan of beans?
Yeah, I am definitely. I think it's definitely a good way to get a lot of protein. So, 100%, big fan of beans.
Okay, so you're the target audience for this then. I'm not. I'm not the biggest fan of beans, so this is not my thing. Bean Shack isn't for me, but it still looks great. I think it looks awesome to see. It's really interesting. It's very simple. It's straight to the point. No, Bean Shack. It's about beans. So it's a quick idea. It's designed and inspired by possible future vision and Adobe challenge. So this was a creative challenge, which they're around. So you guys go check them out. They're great. They're helping. They give you a task to get you involved in XD and learn. So yeah. So let's see. This was to create a recipe / cookbook mobile application with some fancy XD animations to add life to the design. All right, let's take I wonder if I could, there we go. So that helps.
Currently no recipe stored.
All right, so it sounds like we need to save some. Hey, that was cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very cool.
I'm curious to know if you're able to just see the recipe before saving it.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's a more involved iteration of it. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, does that recipe kind of expand and can you see it before you add it to your recipe book?
Mm-hmm. In case someone's allergic to something or sure. They don't like a particular item.
So is this an app for a restaurant? Is that what it was? Or is it so it's recipe, so Bean Shack it was called?
Yeah, it's just
I guess it's just like a recipe kind of.
Yeah, I think it's just a recipe for beans in particular.
Got it.
Based off of a creative challenge.
Yeah.
Sam has gone ahead and added links to, which I highly encourage you to check out.
I like the a few cool things that I saw on there that I liked was like it has like a time, 25 minutes, 16 minutes. Is that right? Like really on the first screen here. So even before you add the recipe, you can see, how fast it is to kind of create this, what you're eating, this specific, the healthy lentil salad. It would take 15 minutes. So those kind of quick glimpses before you kind of add it, I think are interesting so that you can help the user kind of make that quick decision. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you find yourself cooking a lot, or do you enjoy cooking, Ambert?
I can make a mean grilled cheese. I can make I'm not that good at cooking. I do enjoy eating, but I do happen to be married to a certified vegan chef. So wow. I get some good food at home. So
okay, so Bean Shack would definitely be something to look into. That's awesome. And so the last one, we're going to be going over very quickly is the first project is XD inspired and guided by the XD daily challenges. Wonderful. So for a dashboard for digital organization and Web3 based organization. Let's go ahead and take a look at the vid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Very cool.
Look, I think this might be a plugin that we have on XD as well. I can't quite remember. I think it might be Undraw.
It's got a lot of states here using a lot of the really cool features that XD offers. Just gonna scroll groups. Oh, nice. Wow.
So there's a social aspect to this.
Yeah.
All right. The color palette. What are your thoughts on the color palette and the little look?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's visually striking. Obviously, you got to kind of think of hierarchy here, like what's more important. I think in my mind, they're both kind of calling your attention. This kind of light purple and this light kind of peachy rose color. So you got to try and find what's most important here, and maybe call those out as opposed to having them both. In my mind, I think playing around with maybe different shades of one color I think can work. But yeah, I think overall the design structure of it I think works. But playing around with that color, going a little deeper into that would be helpful for sure. Mm-hmm. And you might even want to look at the accessibility aspect of this too. Like the thin numbers, on that color, for example, what that looks like.
You mean here?
No, like the 47 members, the 376, yeah. Yeah, that might be a little hard for some people to see, if they have kind of some kind of color blindness or something like that.
And now, that brings up a really great point, is the thinking about accessibility for people you may or may not have direct experience with, like you were saying, color blindness.
Yeah, there's some cool plugins already that exist for XD that you can add in and test for that. I think there's one called Stark that I use. So yeah, just check those out too.
Cool. Okay. I have the little icons too.
Oh, nice.
I know there's quite a few plugins as well that highlight you be able to just type in icons. I would type in whatever you're looking for icons and just use those.
Yeah. I use, we'll get into this tomorrow. A lot of people have, different kind of plugins or anything that they like for icons. I tend to like font icons. I just think it's easier copying and pasting and stuff like that. I like to use Font Awesome. So we'll see what that looks like tomorrow when we're designing the app. See how we can play around with the icons themselves.
Yeah, and it's always interesting too. It's like the development of icons is, I found pretty difficult. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but trying to convey something as simple. Let's go to the Bean Shack. See if he has icons down there. But yeah, like conveying what the book collection was going to look like.
Right.
In case you don't have space for the type, for instance. Like how do you? What would be? Have you had experience developing icons?
Yeah. So creating custom icons. Not creating an entire set, but creating, an icon for, maybe 4 or 5 different icons that would kind of look consistent. It's all about just ratio too, and maybe just trying to see how you can repurpose one so that they feel like they're part of the family.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what's important, right? You can't have one that has this really rounded corners and this other one that's just very straight. You know what I mean? They would just feel off. So you got to kind of keep that into, as you're kind of designing, you got to keep that into perspective. So
cool. All right, guys. So you guys can always find. First, I want to say thank you, Ruben Russell, for letting us take a look at your portfolio. I highly encourage everyone to come over and follow him, take a look at his stuff.
It's from the Netherlands too. Didn't we have somebody on chat that was in the Netherlands? Yeah.
I'd love for that person to say hi. I've always wanted to visit the Netherlands.
Same. I hear it's great recycling.
Oh, is it? I just want to trek, and eat all the food. But yeah, so I mean, why don't we hop back in to the Adobe XD and kind of like maybe go through a little bit of what we're thinking about going to next. I know you kind of mentioned a little bit of it.
Sure. Let me just share my screen here.
And I know someone was asking also a little bit about like the design that. Okay, so no, so someone was also asking about like the design system. And I know you went over that briefly in the beginning. I thought maybe giving an example of that would be helpful as well, because you are what you're currently doing and you're designing out is heavily based off of that kind of design system.
Yeah. So the cool thing here too that XD has is that you can quickly start kind of creating a system here, right? So let's just go to our components over here. So we can already start. So this would be kind of, call this, it has their own kind of naming structure. Because I'm not necessarily doing this one, with like a team or anything. I'm just going to kind of quickly name these how I feel like it should be named. But sometimes keeping a structure that everybody understands, I think it's important. But like, for example, you can already start coming in here and creating some of your design system, right? So for example, did we say we wanted to go with the red?
Yeah, I think the big vote was red.
Got it. So we'll do red. Quickly just throw this on here, so that we can already start kind of creating the colors that we're going to want to start using throughout. So I'm just gonna really quick just put this in there. So for example, let's say we wanted these buttons, instead of white, we wanted them to be red, for example. So we would just kind of go in here and then select the red from our components, right? And now let's just say we don't like this red anymore. We want to kind of edit this red, but we already have like 50 screens already designed. Trying to have them go back there and edit every screen is kind of a mission, but just going in here now and just like editing this red here, you can now kind of, this already here, these components is your system, right? You're starting to build your system over here. I'm just gonna kind of undo all of that. So you can start adding in colors, you can start adding in character styles. Like let's just say we wanted the feed, right? When we start designing our actual feed, we wanted our kind of titles for the pages to be here. So feed, and it'll take all of the, I'm just gonna quickly just throw this in here and say that, for example, this would be feed, this would be training. Let's say we want this to be, a character style. We can just rename this to, and I want to, and again, same way as it worked with the colors, for example. Let me just delete some of these things. If I wanted to change what this looked like, you can go in here and change the sizes, and then it would change, throughout the all of your artboards and everything. That's all kind of set up. So similar to like InDesign or other products like that from Adobe, you kind of had these consistent things throughout, and you can again start creating your design system here so that you're easily can kind of keep things consistent. And what's important about the consistency of it is not just like, yeah, it's consistent, it's cool to be consistent, but it's more like you're starting to train the user, right? This is the title of the page, right? This is by seeing these consistent things throughout these different pages, you're starting to train the user to look for those things that are consistent, right? When they're looking for a specific something in the app or when they're interacting with it, that consistency is key there.
So you're training the user from the get-go that these are the things that to look out for, like the title. That's where you know.
Right, exactly.
And also borrowing conventions from other aspects and apps that you were showing off earlier, that because you've more than likely are used to these other particular applications, you're setting up that training that, oh, you knew that from Nike, and you're bringing it over, and then you train them further down the line.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of an easy way to kind of create these design systems in XD. Once you're done with all of this, you can actually even like create like an artboard to have like a visual design system, right? So where you can have like, colors that you use, things of that nature, and you can kind of name these out so you can have like a visual design system kind of built out. With sections of like, colors that you're using, the typefaces, the fonts, and all of that, all the way down to character styles, all the way down to body, all the way down to, what specific buttons would look like, what form fields would look like, and all of that.
Yeah, Cornell's asking, how would you go about swapping the colors in the component panel in the assets? If you change the red one to black and keep them from merging, essentially, or having one of them disappear, which is a really interesting question.
Yeah, so if you want to like edit a color in your components, you just kind of right click it and then click edit, and then kind of choose whichever, whatever, you can update the color right here, and then it will update whatever component that is connected to on all of your artboards.
Mm-hmm. I think he's afraid of it disappearing and melding into the black, and he wants to swap all of those colors. And I would say, if that were to occur, just go back and write down the color, and just slightly change them, and then change them to what you want.
Another way too is like, if you want this one to be kind of the red, you can also even add them here to like your color kind of toggle here. You can add different quick kind of shortcuts, right, of colors that you like to use. And then, if you make an edit here, you could quickly kind of go back to that red right here too.
There he goes. Okay, cool. So tomorrow, we're going to be working quite a bit on the training item. It's more of the social aspect portion.
Yeah, we're going to look at what a post would look like, how you can click on that or tap into that and just expand on the activities. Maybe we'll play around with some of these graphs, right? What that looks like. Maybe do some horizontal scrolling as like a user would kind of thumb through or like go through like an activity, maybe see how well they did from beginning to end and see those graphs and stuff like that. That would be interesting to see. So yeah.
As a cyclist, do you ever use a fitness device in conjunction with some of these applications?
Yeah, so the norm would be like using like some kind of computer device on for cyclists on your bike, and then that kind of tracks your your activity, and then it gets a lot of us would use like Strava just so we can kind of use it for social. So it would take that now and then it would upload it automatically to Strava. So like I have a Garmin device, for example, it records my activity and it pushes it up to Strava so that I can kind of share it with friends that are following me or I'm following them. So the whole idea for this one is so the social aspect of Strava is just like you can comment and stuff like that. I want this one to have a little bit more social on it, where you can add more videos to it. You can add highlights and stuff like that too. So
Okay, cool.
and even have like the whole training aspect and all that too. That's how we're kind of differentiating it
From Strava. Okay, cool. And so you are thinking about like adding. Well, I don't want to say you're thinking about it, but like trying to consider those kind of devices within this app. Is that?
Yeah, so it would just like it's like an automatic push that would upload to the it would upload your activity. That's kind of how it works now. Like you can it's like a plugin, that you would add in or activate in those devices.
Okay, cool. All right, neat. So, how's it looking like to you? How's the design as a big cyclist?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I really kind of want to get into the little details here. I think this text might be a little too small. I want to just also kind of set us up with a kind of a good kind of grid here, right? Keeping this 8-point grid system working. So, and what I mean by that is, so the space between kind of these two buttons here is 16 pixels. So keeping that kind of divisible by 8 system working. So like any content, so if a content is going to go to the right of something, you kind of keep it, either 16 or you would go 8, or again, divisible by 8, so that you kind of have this whole system already built out. So we kind of want to start creating that so that it's, again, easier for you, a designer, so you're not having to kind of guess, right? Where should this go, how close should this be to this other item? This just makes things a lot easier. So for example, this should be, probably not 69 pixels. This should probably be like
64.
8. Yeah.
I also use an 8-point grid system, so I'm constantly bringing up the calculator and double checking and
a quick way to do kind of calculations on a Mac is using your Spotlight, right? You can quickly kind of just like 8 times 8, 64. You know what I mean? It gives you.
I had no idea that was possible. I would spend so much time like, oh, I gotta go open up calculator again. Okay, I'll just keep it on the side, and then I have like 5 different screens, and somehow calculator gets buried under like 3 other screens. So like I gotta find it again.
No, that's quick, and you could even 8 times 8 plus whatever, plus 8, whatever. I don't know. You can do kind of, you get it.
So is there a particular reason why you decided to choose 8 as kind of like your standard, as opposed to things like 10 or
Yeah, no, it's there's kind of articles being put around on it. It's kind of just kind of becoming a kind of a standard, right? So it makes it easier for designers and developers, but also, I think, the shape of devices that we're looking at it on now are all kind of mostly divisible by 8 in a way. So it's easy to keep that design system. There's a lot of articles that are out there that we can probably share and put out just as to why 8-point grid system is a kind of a good design practice to keep going on.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great tip. Take a look at those articles too, guys. 8-point is something I use. I think a lot of people are starting to use as well. It's becoming a bit more standard for the grid system. 8 points. I think we are just about out of time.
Yeah.
So we're going to say thank you to everybody for joining us. It was wonderful having Ambert here designing with us, showing us, his process, showing his like design system, how he goes about doing the research and then going into the creative design using Adobe XD. So it's, stay tuned. We have a few more live streams coming up today, and we hope to join us tomorrow when we continue going and delving a bit deeper into the training and designing out with Ambert.
Awesome.
Thank you again, Ambert. It was great having you, and it's great having everyone here in chat. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. See you
Care,
guys tomorrow.
everybody.